Hello and welcome to Talking Tent, a show about movies, TV, and all the content we can possibly consume.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Irma.
We are a married couple whose shared love of movies and television cannot be contained, so we've decided to share our thoughts, opinions, cheers, and occasional jeers with the world. On this episode, we are talking about Platonic as we approach the finale, which comes out tomorrow. Hijack, brand new Apple TV show starring Idris Elba. A quick hitter just on Miracle Workers coming back for its final season. First 2 episodes are out. And we went to the movies to see the delightful Joyride. But first, we'll start like we always do with some marital bliss. Well, what's going on this week, darling?
I don't know. We did 2 barbecues this weekend. Busy barbecue weekend.
Yeah, 2 gatherings. We crunched 2 gatherings with food and different groups of friends together in the same weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Both schleps. One out to Long Island, one to northern New Jersey, but both worth it. They're both delightful. I had a wonderful time.
Absolutely. And then you're leaving for work, so I get to be on my own for 4 glorious days.
Another work trip for your boy.
You're going to Seattle. I think that'll be really nice. I wish I could come.
Going to Seattle for the first time. I've never been there.
And it's going to be like you've never been when you come back.
Yeah, at these conferences, as I believe we've talked about, I don't spend that much time in the city, so it's kind of nice that I get to travel a little bit, but starting our days at like 6 a.m. and finishing at 7 p.m. is like, doesn't leave much time to not just go back to the hotel and go to sleep. Chicago last year, I made it a point to just at least go out onto the Navy Pier and like look at it and go, oh, cool. Since I've never been to Seattle, I think I'll try and get to the wharf. I think the hotel is pretty close to the wharf in that whole area. So I'll try my best to look around. You should have stayed
an extra day. I don't know why you don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, I'm excited.
You're excited to have the bed to yourself.
Exactly.
Oh, we've also had some freaking internet issues. God, there was a tech here for over 2 hours. There's people coming another day. It's a whole thing, and we're living in the city, so it sucks. We had to bother our neighbors because the wires were in their backyard. Ugh, sick of it.
Yeah, but we can't afford to buy a house, so here we are.
Here we are. Anyway, we got some industry talk, some big news, I think.
Well, the Emmys come out this week, the Emmy nominations.
That's also tomorrow.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. So
early tomorrow morning.
By the time you listen to this, they'll probably be out already. There'll be big news, I'm sure.
Well, the Barbie premiere happened, and if you haven't seen it on your Instagram, you must only follow Cars because it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's so aggressive. I've literally, no matter, like every single day, I see something about this movie. I watched The Bachelor last night, and of course, they had a full date dedicated to the Barbie movie, and they had Simu Liu come on and promote the movie. It was just like, it's insane. I'm like already sick of it, and I haven't even seen it yet.
To be fair, you are the target market directly. They're like, who are we targeting? 36-year-old women.
Yeah.
Exactly. So every Instagram account you follow, every show you watch, they are targeting directly.
That's true.
I've only seen it on a few things because I happen to follow
it's been
some
everywhere. It's so annoying.
celebrity blogs and like fashion stuff.
Yeah, well, Margot Robbie has looked great
always
on the circuit. I love, like, she's recreating like signature Barbie looks as she does the red carpet. So I think that's really cool. Yeah,
and the premiere was star-studded. Everyone was there. It's gonna be a big smash. At least the first weekend, and then we'll see.
Yeah, and the reviews have been really positive, so I'm excited to see it, and then I want to forget about it because it's so overwhelming.
Or maybe it'll be really good.
Yeah.
And then finally, on a much smaller note, but very personal to us, we talked about it on a previous pod when we first learned out that Padma was leaving Top Chef, and we ruminated on who would replace her, and we said it probably will be Kristen Kish. And guess what? It is Kristen Kish, previous winner, previous judge, now host.
Yeah, I think she's a great choice. I do find her a little annoying, if I'm being honest, but maybe this will be a good role for her. I'm not sure. We'll see how she does. I mean, I don't think she has like that gravitas that Padma had, But I mean, maybe that's something you like build into, like you, I don't know, it takes time to build that. So
It's just a different vibe.
yeah, she's definitely
Like,
a different vibe.
Yeah, Padma is fairly serious,
Mhm.
I would say.
Yeah.
We love her, but like she comes off intimidating. I feel
As
like
she should.
yeah, I feel like Kristen Kish is more of a like let's hang out and be friends kind of vibe.
Yeah. She's
So,
definitely more low key feeling.
Yeah, a little bit friendlier. Yeah, she really was like the obvious choice. The other stuff that we were talking about was just like maybe just
Well, she just feels like the obvious choice just because she's been doing so
Yeah,
many
so much
of like
TV.
hosting and these reality shows that she's been everywhere. So I'm just kind of like, well, obviously she wants it. She probably like as soon as she heard Padma was leaving, probably like called them and was like, hey, pick me. You
hey
know what I mean?
Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you say I feel like the most you saw her as a host was that fast food show.
No, she also has something on Disney. And then she had something else that I watched.
Oh.
Yeah, the Disney one is like restaurants on the edge of the
Oh, right.
world.
I was just thinking that maybe
Yeah,
you
then
found
that
her
HBO
like a little bit
show.
annoying because that show was like a very
And
repetitive.
then I want to say she also had something else on Netflix. Like she's been like she had
She's
like
been all over the place.
yeah, she's
getting
been
them
all over
TV
the place.
chops. She's ready. Like
I mean, it's great, good for her, get the money, but yeah, I guess like to me, I'm just like over it. But
no,
sure
it'll
she'll
be,
be good.
It'll be good.
no, she'll be good. She'll be good.
She'll be no Padma though.
No.
So what are we talking about this week? We finally caught up on Platonic on Apple TV, a sitcom, I guess you would call it, in the modern definition of sitcoms, starring Rose Byrne and Seth Rogan as old friends that rekindle their friendship after Seth Rogen gets a divorce. How do you feel about this show? There's one more. So that was the penultimate episode that we watched this week, and there's one more to kind of close the loop on it.
Yeah, I love this. I find it so delightful, so funny. It's a little ridiculous at times, a little cringy, but that's okay. I absolutely love Rose Byrne. I just find her like hilarious, and I think she's so pretty, and it's like so believable at the same time that her life could be this much of a mess, even though it's not a mess. I don't know how to explain it, but no, I just love her.
Yeah, I'm not sure I love the show. It's definitely good. It's no love, though. Love is strong.
I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, it's
honestly.
definitely enjoyable. Pop it on. You're never going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
It's also short, so that helps. I think it got there, but the first few episodes were like, A, very repetitive, and B, a little frustrating with how much unnecessary self-sabotaging there seemed to be. Like Seth Rogen would just make decisions and you'd be like, why? Like, just, you don't have to make everything so difficult, but then, you know, you kind of, I guess you grow to understand the characters like any sitcom.
What do you mean? What did he do that was so
Just
difficult?
like everything, that he disagreed with everything with the bar, and he was so tough, and ultimately he paid for it because he's fired.
Yeah, but I think he wants to go out and start his own thing anyway. I think that'll be what the final episode
Yeah,
is.
sure.
Yeah, it seems like they just disagree, and that's okay. You know, him and the rest of the bar owners.
It just felt like it was like a step too far, even though a few things he relented to. It's just like very, very difficult. But I guess that's the point of his character. But yeah, Rose Byrne, I think, is the easy standout. And I love Seth Rogen. I'll watch everything he's involved with, everything that he creates. I think is always good. Rose Byrne is so funny on this show.
She's so funny. She's so good.
And I was wondering, it definitely plays a part. Finally, we talk about this all the time.
We do.
She's finally using her real voice. And I think it makes her funnier.
I agree.
Like, just the way things are phrased. And I felt like this was confirmed. We were watching Louis Capaldi on Hot Ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he is definitely a funny guy, like regardless. But the fact that it all comes out in this really rushed, very Scottish accent makes, like, even the little things he'll say, like when he'll just talk about his bum, and just like the way he says it is just funnier to me.
Because we don't talk like that. Yeah. Like even when I watch Love Island and they start talking and it's just like a funny way of speaking, even though I love it, we always repeat it to each other.
And like, I was just watching Louis Capaldi specifically thinking of like, if if Ryan Gosling said that exact same thing, I'm not sure it would come as funny as funny. It's also like his inflection. He's definitely funny, but I like Rose Byrne, just some like weird little things that she'll say.
Yeah.
And just the way that she'll accentuate different words in her accent. And she might be putting it on also because she knows it's funny. But yeah, she's like really good in it. I was just thinking of, I first saw her in Damages in like the early aughts with Glenn Close, and just like such a serious lawyer show.
You watched that?
Yeah.
For how long?
Several years. I don't think
Whoa.
I finished it. It was just something I'd have on in the background. But, back in the days that I would talk about that you can like keep up with all the shows out. It was an early FX show, but just like so different.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah. And then another thing about Seth Rogen's character, he does his exasperated Seth Rogen rants. Like he has them in everything he's in.
He does.
But this one, it's like basically every episode he does like a minute or two rant in that, just like that voice of like, why is everything going like this? And we're all doing all the things and you guys are crazy. And
Seth
why are
Rogen?
you crazy?
Thanks for gracing us with your presence.
And it's just every episode he does that, which is fine. It's good. I wouldn't say it's like a great.
I enjoy it.
It's not a great one.
And there's also, we didn't shout out Luke McFarlane, who was in, what was that movie last summer?
Bros.
So he's really nice to look at.
Yeah, he's very handsome.
He's
a
very
handsome man. I think he's a good, funnily enough, straight man in this.
But he's
like,
not straight, right?
No,
not that
I'm just
matters,
saying, like,
but.
I'm saying like he plays like he's not really that funny.
Right.
He's like charming and like nice. And what I do like about the show is even though I get annoyed at a few things, it is another one of those shows. And maybe Apple just kind of has the algorithm on these that like, it's just going to work out. Like obviously Rose Byrne and Luke McFarlane aren't getting divorced. It's just not that kind of show. And obviously Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne are not hooking up. And it's not turning that corner.
Yeah, but like I like that it's not doing that. Like it's just showing like two friends like reconnecting, and Luke McFarlane, like, yeah, he's slightly threatened, but not really.
Yeah, I thought his character was
of
actually
understanding,
very reasonable,
nuanced,
but and like also really realistic. Like at first you'd be like, all right, what is going on here? Like you're telling this guy before you're telling me things. You're out with him all the time.
Yeah.
Like I feel like ultimately you'd be like, yeah, it's going to be fine. And you guys,
yeah,
it's a phase.
I know. And well, if I were to watch this when I was like in my teens, I'd be like, oh my God, she's definitely hooking up with him. But like now that we're older and we have these adult friendships, like it's like, no, like people can be friends like that. You know what I mean? It feels like, well, I'm just saying.
I'm going to Seattle.
I know. And you have work friends and like, you're the only guy and I'm sure they love you.
Who doesn't love me? Everybody.
I know. Should I be concerned? Are you going to dry hump someone?
No, not at all. That wasn't funny when he got home. And, like he just immediately spilled the beans and we dry humped. So ridiculous.
So funny. Oh my God. Whatever.
It's definitely funny. The first few episodes I say were like a little middling, but then by the time you really get into it, I think it
always takes like a while to like get used to everyone's quirks and I don't know, to like just, friends in general. Like it's hard to really see like the dynamics and all of that, but.
Yeah, speaking of Friends, I was just going to say, even though this isn't a sitcom in like your traditional Friends, Seinfeld, The Office kind of way, it is technically a sitcom. And I always say you need to give at least 6 episodes in the traditional sense to like, because everything kind of feels silly. If you just plopped into the middle of season 4 of Friends, 1 episode, you'd be like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But when you understand the characters and you get the jokes and, you can do the callbacks, it's all better. So yeah, I think it was good that we waited and then binged it, because if we were watching those week by week, I might have been like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah.
But we got to the good part. And now I'm excited to see how it ends, because I think it'll be nice.
Yeah. And we'll see if they're going to do more seasons of it and whatnot. So, I mean, I imagine so, but who knows? It's 2 big
names to bring them back, but it's probably not that much of their time.
Yeah, true. I mean, they don't film like in crazy locations,
Yes, probably down the block from Seth Rogen's house.
Yeah. Or no, it might be his house.
Oh, like the Idol.
Like The Weeknd, yeah. So the other Apple TV Plus show we're watching is Hijack with Idris Elba.
It's exactly what you think it is. And it's in the best way possible. It is about a plane being hijacked, and Idris Elba is on it. And he is my one hesitation is he is essentially lawyer, business negotiator. Like he does mergers and acquisitions and negotiates.
I know that was like a funny part, like in the show when like his ex-wife and son had to explain what he did. And it was like, they paused and they're like, he's a negotiator. Like it was like, I expected it to be like a Secret Service agent or something. Like he's in the military, but no, he's a negotiator. I was like, oh. Okay.
Specifically for like mergers, like business. Because like in every other version of this movie that has been created many, many times before, there's like, it's like he's former CIA. He's former FBI.
Yeah.
He's a hostage negotiator from like, a police unit, whatever. He's a terrorist expert who's worked in the field. And I feel like they just, again, Apple a little bit with their algorithm. I feel like they just did not want to touch the government at all. He is not involved with any government. Don't put that on him. Whatever you think, left, right, good, bad. Mm-hmm. Let's make him generic business guy.
Yeah.
But like not high up, not a CEO, because we also hate CEOs.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like let's not touch anything that anybody could be like, I hate you already, and barely talk about why he's a good negotiator. But yeah, he's a good negotiator.
I mean, so far, we've only seen 2 episodes, right? 2 episodes?
3
episodes. And I have to say, like, I think the tension is really built up. Like, I didn't know like how they were going to do this, like on a plane. It's like a limited set, though I'm sure Apple dropped the bag for them. I mean, as much as you can for a plane set. And I do feel like all of the people on the plane, like they're getting their moments. I mean, not every single person, because that's a large plane. But yeah, I want to say like the first episode was just about boarding, and it was like kind of compelling in a way.
Well,
you know
because
what I mean? Like it's a relatable thing that everyone has gone through, and it's kind of like what is happening. Like it just gives me such anxiety just watch all of that.
Well, right. It is an extended version of what they did on like Red Eye, the movie with Cillian Murphy. Of like, well, just watching people board a plane and like the weird quirks. And like, obviously they were amping it up. Like there was an annoying kid and another woman said something to the mom as like, most people wouldn't because they would just deal with it. But in the, on a drama TV
and she
show,
was also ranting about like her bags and stuff. Like, oh, you shouldn't use the overhead bin. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a confrontation like that, but who knows? Like,
yeah, they also didn't call it the overhead bin. They called it something else because they're British. And now I can't think of. No, not the boot, but it was a weird word for it, but it was different. But then the added tension of like, we know what the show's about. So some of these people they're showing are terrorists.
Yeah.
So we're just like waiting, and they make one guy like very obviously the guy, and then it's not the guy.
Yeah. And I love like all of the things that they're showing like outside of the plane, like the people on the ground trying to figure out what's happening, and like just like the subtleties of like how, I don't know, how they like know that something is wrong. I don't know. And they're also like, a lot of people have died already. Like the woman in the airport who does the bag check, and then the other guy.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's good. The tension is solid. And then, I mean, what we haven't even talked about yet is this just simply does not work without Idris Elba.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
He's just like, again, we were talking about how silly it is of how they explained why he is a good fit to try and negotiate with these terrorists on the flight. But like, he just pulls it off because he's so goddamn charming. And
yeah, I could honestly watch him do anything. Like I know I said like I liked that they were like kind of showing the other people on the plane, but at the same time, I kind of don't even really care about those people. I only
they can
care.
All die.
It's true. I only care about Idris and what he's doing at any given moment. Even if he's just sitting in that chair, I just want to watch him sitting in that chair and just like brooding and just like thinking about what to do next. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, he just exudes competence. And so he's like charming. He's handsome. He's like one of those guys. So when we were talking about The Idol last week, of like how The Weeknd is just not, he couldn't pull off what they wanted for Tedros.
One. Yeah.
He's a little too old, but in theory, whatever, he could have done it. but like for the story, he was a little too old. But like the exact opposite of what we were talking about. Just Idris Elba has all of that.
Yeah.
He's just like compelling in anything he does. So just as a very capable guy trying to take down this group of terrorists on a plane, it's like, hell yeah, give me that. It's 7
and
episodes.
He's like so smart using like the chat on the game to communicate. Like that was genius.
Well, that was, I mean, technically, that's credit the writers.
I know. No. It's Idris in my head. It's all Idris.
I imagine pilots and like airport controllers and stuff that are people that are familiar with different situations and tracking planes might say it's stupid, but like pushing the plane slightly off course to signal home that there's a problem. Because I mean, it wasn't just that. They also got this weird phone call. Mm-hmm. So like then once they got the phone call and saw this, they're like, okay, something is wrong. I think
it's so creative.
Yeah. It's cool. And I also like, and again, Apple, the terrorists are a completely diverse group of regular people. Like it is not, they did not go with like the Islamic terrorists. They didn't go with the Irish IRA people. They didn't go with, whatever, any other groups that have been extremists. They didn't go with skinheads.
They're pretty diverse.
Yeah, exactly.
Like as a terrorist group.
Yeah,
so.
it's just like, who knows how these people got together to decide to do this. Maybe they'll get to it.
I'm sure they will.
It's just nice. It's like how Top Gun didn't
nice.
It's like how Top Gun wouldn't say who the villain was because it didn't matter, and that's what brings in like different biases.
True.
And it's like that. Like they're just a group of shitty people who, or maybe they're not shitty, and we'll learn that there's a real reason, and they had no intention of ever taking the plane down. Who knows? And the last episode 3, ended on a great cliffhanger.
Yeah,
just professionally done. Who shot JR?
I know. Well, also like having guns on a plane, like that's like life threatening for the entire plane, right?
Well, that's the impetus of the entire episode.
No, I understand. But like just in general, like, okay, so let's say like a bullet goes through the side of a plane or through the window.
Oh, you fudged.
Yeah. So what happens actually? Like the air depressurizes and then the plane just drops?
I don't know. I imagine there's some safety protocols. I am not an expert.
Oh.
You didn't know? Yeah. I imagine there's
You act like you know about everything, Zach.
I imagine for something as small as a bullet hole or like a freak hail, although I don't think that would go through the plane. But God forbid something went through a plane that small. There's got to be a way that they can balance out.
Maybe a piece of gum.
But either way, it would be bad. It would be bad.
Yeah,
I think. But yeah, you should watch Hijack. I don't think we really gave anything really away.
We kind of gave a lot away.
Nah.
But there's really not much. Like you find this all out within the first episode, so it's not like.
Yeah, it's about a hijacking.
Yeah, exactly. It tells you what it is, and I think it's like a perfect summer show. I should say. Like it's not too serious. You don't have to really overthink about it.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah. Somehow the highest of stakes, but show wise, pretty low stakes.
Yeah.
Then finally on the TV side, we actually just caught up on this because I think it came out yesterday. But Miracle Workers came back. We've talked about it before. It is Simon Rich's show. Simon Rich, who is a very funny humorist author. He's got several books. I've read one of them. I think I've read a few of them. Just like a super clever guy that when you read his work, you just think you're stupid and could never be funny at doing anything. He made a show, and this came out 4 years ago, the original one. Daniel Radcliffe, Steve Buscemi, Geraldine Viswanathan, who is, she's coming up in the world. She's in another.
Yeah, I've seen her.
I think she's in that Coen Brothers or I think it's just Ethan Coen. I think it comes out next month about like one of their like Fargo-esque hijinks. And it's an anthology series, and it switches the setting every year, but the same actors, and they kind of play similar roles. Their characters are different, but Daniel Radcliffe and Geraldine are always a couple.
Yeah.
And then Karan Soni, you'd recognize him if you saw him. He's hilarious. He plays like the friend. John Bass plays some ridiculous character, and Steve Buscemi is always like kind of a leader figure. In this one, it's called End Times, and it is a Mad Max post-apocalyptic referential piece on that. So I think there's like a Dune reference. A lot of it's Mad Maxy. And then what they did is that that's the setting, but then it's just about that Daniel Radcliffe and Geraldine get married and move to the suburbs, quote unquote, which is just like this town in the middle of the end of the world desert. And it's like all of these weird problems that are just like the problems that every other suburban show is about, except it's at the end of the world with like vicious murderers or previously vicious murderers and beheadings and, weird stuff.
Yeah, I enjoy watching this. I wouldn't say like you should, if you haven't seen the previous seasons, you can just jump into this one because it is like an anthology, but I do feel like you do need those previous seasons to kind of build up on them in general. And so far, like, it's fine. Like, I don't know.
Good.
It's,
Again, only 2 episodes. It's a good put on after Jeopardy when you're eating dinner.
Yeah, like some of the situations, like I'll like chuckle, but it's nothing like that I'm saying like is so funny.
A lot of clever yucks, but no knee
very
slappers.
Clever. Yeah.
All right, and now let's hit up date night at the movies. We saw Joyride, directed by Adele Lim, who was the screenwriter of Crazy Rich Asians. This is her directorial debut. She also wrote it with 2 other women. Joyride tells the tale of Audrey, played by Ashley Park, who was adopted by a white family, and her best friend, Lolo, played by rising star Sherry Cola. Audrey has become a successful lawyer and businesswoman and is sent on a business trip by her boss, played by Timothy Simons, to deal with a Chinese businessman.
Well, she needs to get him to sign a contract, essentially. So she brings Lolo with her as an interpreter. And then along the way, they meet up with Lolo's cousin, Deadeye, and Audrey's college roommate, Kat, played by Stephanie Hsu, the Oscar nominee.
Oscar nominee Stephanie Hsu.
Yeah.
Who comes in hot.
Yeah, she does. And then also, while Audrey's going to be in China, Lolo encourages her to find out about her birth mom, which I don't think Audrey initially wanted to do, but then I think she eventually realizes she wants to connect with her roots, find out, I guess, more about her background, more, she's always had to, she felt, I guess in the movie they say that she felt like she had to fit in, she had to be the top of her class, and yeah, so I don't know, I just thought this movie was so good. I had so much fun watching this movie. It's so funny. It's raunchy. I don't know. I think I forgot how funny and fun road trip movies are, to be honest. Like, I didn't realize this was a genre like I needed back in my life. It kind of reminds me of like Girls Trip or was it Bachelor? Oh my God.
Road Trip.
Road Trip. And then what's the other
the
one?
National Lampoon movies.
Yeah.
Euro Trip. There's so many of them. Rat Race, kind of, even though that one's a little bit different. Yeah, it's well-worn territory. Whatchamacallit is basically a road trip movie. They made 3 of them.
Yeah, that's
The Hangover.
That's what I was thinking of. The Hangover. Yeah, I just couldn't remember the name for some reason.
But it allows these 4 people, they basically take 4 interesting characters. 2 of them are obviously very good friends, but then it allows the college friend an excuse to come in, worlds collide, and then the cousin, worlds collide. They're very different. They wouldn't be together in any other scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So it allows for that chemistry to build. And then also a road trip movie allows really strange things to happen, and they basically
hijinks,
do it in the form there's bits about meeting a crazy person, and then that person is actually in the movie, in this case Baron Davis. You have to be a super NBA fan to even realize, like, yeah, that actually is Baron Davis. They didn't make this up because he plays in China now. And that part worked. And then, yeah.
Also, speaking of that part, I also kind of loved, and sorry, honey, that all the white guys in this movie are kind of shown as a bit dumb, maybe a bit clueless, maybe except for her dad, even though her dad's also a bit clueless, I think, about what Audrey is going through. But then all the love interests are people of color, which I found really refreshing. they were all very good looking.
Yeah, I think the father character, Audrey's father, I wouldn't say he's dumb. I'd say he's trying his best, but a bit naive. But then like the boss, Timothy Simon's character is like definitely a dick.
Yeah.
And then all of her colleagues are just like classic crappy white guys who just don't understand and say like mildly racist things and mildly sexist things. And classically, this movie is not subtle in any way. So,
which is okay.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. I mean, this isn't like a story I can like necessarily relate to like on that level. I'm not adopted. I'm not Asian. But I did love like just the story of friendship in general. Like I do understand that like how hard it can be for your college friends to meet up with your other friends. Like I've done that. Like I've mixed that before. And initially it is like a jarring thing because you have other jokes. You tell people certain things and sometimes it's hard to like mesh those two worlds. And I loved seeing this. And then I should say, I cried twice during this movie. Once when it like literally the first 5 minutes and then again at the end of the movie. But so when Audrey goes to China, so we're spoiling it. I mean, not that there's really that much to spoil. She does look up her birth mom and she finds out that she's actually Korean. And then somehow they actually go to Korea, which that part kind of you have to like suspend your disbelief in a weird way. Just because they get there on an what is it, like a cargo
boat.
Yeah, a cargo carrier. And
I mean, the whole movie, we're kind of making it sound like just the sweet parts.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
But
Yeah.
on purpose. And it's very raunchy and like very funny, very over the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how they get to Korea is like, yeah, it's just stupid. They also get stranded somewhere else and are totally fine. Like that's kind of the point.
Yeah, that is the
People
point.
getting into really weird situations because it is like a kind of classic way over the top comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so I should just finish my thought. She finds her birth mom, but then finds out that she actually passed away. But then her birth mom left a video message for her, and it was
a tearjerker,
gut wrenching. I was full on sobbing in the movie theater, which I was not expecting to do. But yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that part was very touching. We
Very
also got
touching.
a wonderful Daniel Day Kim.
Yeah,
when I saw him come in, I was
so
like,
good.
oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Just a legendary Korean actor.
I know, and I thought like it was going to be like her biological father,
yeah.
but it wasn't. So,
and it was kind of nice that it wasn't because it allowed them. It allowed just the mother and daughter to connect, even though they weren't connecting. And had it been the father, it would have been like them connecting.
Absolutely,
So it was nice that they had it be that way. But then on the comedy aspect, because that's what you came to see this movie for, is it funny? And it's definitely funny.
It's so funny.
Yeah,
I laughed out loud so many times.
Many times. Sherry Cola is very funny. She's a rising comedic star. Audrey Park, even though she's kind of playing like that down the middle.
You mean Ashley Park or Audrey?
Audrey, I used her character's name. Ashley Park, even though she's kind of playing like the center of the story, who often isn't the funniest character.
But they allowed her, to be pretty funny.
She was also very funny.
Yeah.
She's also beautiful. It was very nice watching her for so long. She looks a little bit like you, darling.
I don't know about that.
A little bit. And then the two more tertiary friends of Deadeye, who's played by Sabrina Wu, and then obviously Stephanie Hsu, who plays an actress, and it's just over the top. And at one point, I guess we've already spoiled things, but the vagina scene.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, so Ashley Park's character, Audrey, drops to Lolo that she has a tattoo by her vagina, but I guess like Audrey had never seen it. And then Lolo kind of becomes obsessed with what the tattoo could possibly be. Stephanie Hsu acts like, oh no, I got it removed. No big deal. That's not who I am anymore. But then it comes back later in the movie and it's like the best payoff of a joke that I think I've ever seen.
Maybe not ever. But
for
it was,
me,
it was
I don't
definitely
know.
a good payoff.
Yeah.
And they leaned very hard into the raunch.
Oh my God. Very hard into the raunch.
Specific,
I loved it. Yeah.
The specific like tandem sex scene where all four characters are essentially, not all of them are doing the same act, but all of them are like having a connection with a person.
A person, yeah.
One of them is just two guys. It's just madness. And they just don't shy away from it at all. It's great.
Yeah.
It was very funny. A lot of very culturally specific jokes,
Yeah,
which
very much.
I think we both understood. But I think if you're in one of those cultures, Korean, Chinese, and you could probably more relate to the family dynamics they talk about, specifically the grandmother, and they make jokes about that. Like, it was definitely funny to us.
Yeah.
But I imagine other people like really connected to it. Like, yeah, that's exactly like my grandmother.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that, just like I appreciate, Jewish tropes as well, and like Hispanic tropes, and things that you're more used to, or Italian tropes.
Yeah, yeah. I also want to say I loved the character of Deadeye. At first, I was like a little hesitant. I'm like, what are they trying to do here?
Yeah, she was the oddball.
Yeah, she was definitely the oddball, but at the same time, like, she was possibly asexual, intersexual. And I liked that they had a character like that kind of going on this like identity journey as well, but it wasn't like so heavy-handed in your face. But at the end, you kind of figured like you realize that they found who they're meant to be, and I liked that. Like, I liked that it was like pretty subtle, and they were the heart of the story. I think they were kind of like the linchpin. They were the ones who brought the rest of the characters back together, and was kind of like I need this group. You know what I mean? Because the other girls don't necessarily. They have maybe like other outlets or whatever, but then they realize like, no, like these are like my core
four.
I think. Yeah, which I kind of loved. I don't know. I thought it was really
the
sweet.
other girls were more outwardly friendly and in a more traditional way. And Deadeye's character at first is a very seemingly insecure, insular person. And through the trip, they're able to open up, especially with Ashley Park, and find friendship, which is just another part. So this movie's about a lot, while being basically like a sex adventure. And it's also China.
Like less than 2 hours, right? Which I think is like amazing. Like, it was concise, it was very funny, and then we left. You know what I mean? With tears like running down my cheeks. Yeah, it was great. Very, very nice end. Yeah. And then they're all together, and everything's working out great. Well, after they have a blow up, which I think is like pretty par for the course. But yeah, no, I think it was great. Highly recommend. Go see this movie. I'm excited to see where Sherry Cola goes after this. She already is in a movie, right? That we've seen previews for. Yeah, the Shortcomings. I think that was also at Sundance. Yeah, so she is the lead in that. And then Ashley Park has been around for a while. She's in a lot of stuff here and there. She was in Girls Five Eva, Emily in Paris, Beef. So Ashley Park, I love seeing her. She's on the way up. Yeah. And then Stephanie Hsu. I mean, Christ, she got nominated for an Oscar. So I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of her. And I like that this part was so different than anything I've seen her in. Well, even like Miss Maisel, she was in. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, I love all these people. All right, so that is what we have for this week. A shorter one for us. Hey, look at that. We got it under an hour and a half. Probably because we didn't have the best show of all time to talk about. The Bear. If you haven't watched The Bear, watch it and then listen to last week's episode. More and more people are talking about how wonderful it is. Your mom and sister? Yeah, everybody is catching up with it. It's the best. Yeah. For our 5 listeners. Our tens of listeners. Next week. So as I said, I'll be away most of the weekend, so it's going to be tough. We'll see if we can coordinate watching shows and keeping up with everything. I'll be watching Love Island if you want to talk about that. For 5 straight days. I know you're going to be watching that. Ridiculous. But we are seeing Mission Impossible on Tuesday, my birthday. Yeah, your month of Zach. How's that going, by the way? Month of Zach is going great. If you're not checking it out on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, I've been posting every movie, little snippets, about a minute and a half each, about each movie I'm watching. We are approaching 1997 very quickly, so almost 10 years in. Wow. Yeah, the Crying Games. When do you watch these movies? Not with me. At night when I'm cooking dinner, in between sessions of Call of Duty. I'll finish them up in the bed. It's kind of a weird viewing situation because I watch in pieces. Anyway, The Crying Games so far has been my favorite movie I've watched. And what year was that? 1992. Whoa. Yeah. Okay. It's very good. If you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend it. And don't look up what it's about because it's one of those that pivots. I don't think I've seen it. It's very surprising. Where were we? Next week.
So we're seeing Mission Impossible on Tuesday. So we'll definitely talk about that.
We'll do another check-in with Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, yes. So funny. And we'll figure out what else we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we'll let
talk
you know.
about my lovely trip to Seattle, hopefully.
Well, thank you, Craig, for the production assistance. And thank you to John Welsh for our intro and outro music.
Subscribe so you know every time we post an episode. Follow us, as I just said, on all the social medias at Talkin Tent, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We're launching some YouTube stuff. We'll see how it goes. Right now, bear with us. It's early days. And email us all of your thoughts. If you, how much did you love the bear? Email me about it, and maybe we'll read.
Someone email him.
Maybe we'll revisit the bear.
God.
Or email me about anything else. If you have a differing opinion about Joyride or anything, maybe you didn't like it. Maybe it was offensive to you. Who knows?
I know. We'd love your comments, and then we'll read them on the podcast and we'll talk about it. You know, like we would love a differing opinion. I mean, I tend to love everything. Zach loves everything except for past lives.
Yeah. Starting to feel weird. Maybe it's because I was sleepy.
Yeah.
But no, I stand by my opinion. Anyway, from our living room to yours, what do you want to watch?